Welcome to this tutorial. Today we talk about database security, and through this entire course we will discuss the different element that is found inside a project of database security and how you can secure in real your database against all form of attacks. All right, let's follow the introduction and database overview, the security overview, the availability, the authentication, the integrity, the confidentiality, and the middleware security and how to keep data confidential. And the third party security option that we will study, and after that we will study the pros and cons of the third party solution we build in the database. So after that we conclude the course. All right, as you see today in this case, database security protect the database against unwanted effect, accidental and deliberate. There is always a trade-off between high security and performance and user inconvenience, because at times when the system is too secure, it disturbs the user. Excessive security can itself be a security threat workaround. The first step is always a security audit. This lecture look at the use of encryption as part of the security policy also. The multiple of hardware, software, and network resources, the generalization of data sharing between individual and hybrid-sized network constitute a major challenge for data security within the recording of numerous accidents since the year 20 and even some year behind. So we discover the classification, the access, the priority, the fix, and the monitoring, and the security of database to bring out the shield and protection also of data centers. That would be at time the place there where those data will be secure. And we have some element like authentication. Is we are able to define them, some element that will be very primordial and very important in the domain of database. Authentication is the process of verifying that a user claiming access is who he claimed to be. In other words, is the control of the identity of the user. The right and privilege that allow the user to access only the information to which is entitled. The lock and trace, it allowed to save all or part of information about access. It is used in a target way for specific time period. We have now the fault tolerance. It allows redundant hardware or software to transparently support the various type of failure at the client, network, and server level. And the backup and restore. It consists in saving the data on external support and being able to restore them as up to date as possible. And the transactional mechanism, it allows you to go backward to find the last coherent state or to make sure that there was no partial or incomplete operation. All right, now let's have a view about the pillar of the security. For us to have a top security, what you need. The security of database depends on 6 essential factors that are applied to operating system and the database management system. These 2 elements are complementary. The first element is the confidentiality, the availability, the reliability, the integrity, the traceability, and the maintainability. Now, the mechanism implemented for database security. Among those mechanisms, we have the authentication, that is the process for verifying the identity of the user for access to a service. The right and privilege assigned to user a limit access to service. The log and trust recording a user activity on the service. And we now have the fault tolerance that we talked about, that was allow hardware and software to seamlessly support the various failure on the network devices. And the backup and restore is avoid loss of data as a result of the network problem or not. The transactional mechanism avoid impartiality and imperfection of operation in the network. All right, let's have a view about the main thread that we see in database. The main thread that we see, really we need to know first of all that thread can be categorized in two types. We have some thread that can be some thread that can be conscious and some one that are not conscious. For the one that are listing here, there are some one that is consciously sent at time, but maybe the kind of mismanagement of a administrator. We have first of all various. Among those various, we want to understand a virus is a program intended to harm or prevent proper functioning of the system. And the worm, network virus that can self-replicated and move through a network. And the Trojan horse is a virus installed when opening a service and operating without the knowledge of a user who opened the service. We have the backdoors. Usurper program to open unauthorized access by changing the normal operation of a system or a network. So among those different type of threat, we can have some that are unconscious. Maybe it can be the damage of the system due to a clash, and we have this one that can be sent by a hacker just to disturb the service or to steal some information or some data inside the system. Now, the main security flaw, we have open doors, the bugs, the default installation, the bad coding, the mismanagement of right. That the main security flaw that we can list. And every company need place to store institutional knowledge and data. Frequently, that data contain proprietary information like personal identification table, employee of human resources, and financial data. The security and confidentiality of this data is of critical importance. There are four key issues in the security of database, just as with all security systems. We have availability, authentication, integrity, and confidentiality. Data need to be available at all necessary time. Data need to be available to only the property user. They need to be able to track who has access to and who has access what data. That's why it's supplying availability. In authentication, we need to ensure that the data has been edited by an authorized source. Need to confirm that user accessing the system are who they say they are. Need to identify that all report requests from authorized user. Need to verify that any outbound data is going to expected receiver. We can have two-factor authentication that is called 2FA and three-factor authentication depending on the security level. We need to verify that an external data has the correct formatting and other metadata. That's why we involve integrity. We need to verify that all input data is accurate and verifiable. That is inside the integrity. We need to ensure also that data is following the correct workflow rule for our institution or our corporation. And we need to be able to report on all data change and who authorize them to ensure compliance with corporate rule and privacy law. Now, about the confidentiality. The confidentiality, we need to ensure that confidential data is only available to correct people. And we need also to ensure that entire database is secure from external and internal system breach. Need to provide for reporting on who has access what data and what they have done with it, and even the time by which he access on that data. And the critical mission and legal sensitive data must be highly secure at the potential risk of lost business litigation. Now, how to keep our data confidential? Although the four pillars are equal in importance, we are focusing on the confidentiality due to the prevalence of data loss in the financial and personal area. We are going to review solutions for internal data loss, external hacking, security data if hardware is stolen, unapproved administration access. Another set of security issues come from middleware that is sit between the user and the data. And in this case, na time we talk about the man in the middle, the attack of the man of the middle. Seeing sign-on authentication, single sign-on authentication, this will be what we call SSO. It will be the protocol that you use to sign on with authentication one time and access to many other services, sub-services inside that main service. They allow users to just have one password to access all system, but also mean that the thief of one password can put in danger all the system. That is why we need to understand that. But now about the third-party security option. Most companies have several types of database. So to ensure data security across database, they hire third-party database security vendors such as Guardium Incorporation or Impera Incorporation, for example. Those companies have solution of database activity monitoring that we call DMA. Another option is data masking, buying a fake data set for development and testing. And the pros and cons of the third-party solution. So in this table now, we present the different solution and with the pros and the cons. Now we have data obfuscation, masking and scramble. So the pros will be fake or scrambled data set for use by design and implementation team. And the cost, it can be very expensive. Good fake data can range in the cost from $200,000 to $1 million. And we have the encryption of data. It allows personally identifiable data to be scrambled if intrusion take place. So these are those tables that present all the solution description, the pros and the cons. And another table that here will present also those come in the more detailed format will be some complex password, require number of symbol as well as frequent password change, make password harder to guess and harder to crack. It's good. That is different pros and cons. So as you see here, we keep internal and external facing database separate, make it very hard to be hard and then through the others. Reduce functionalities of data and receive flow of internal data. This is the table that represents those pros and cons. Now, vendors such as Oracle, Microsoft, and IBM know that security is a big concern for data system. They create built-in solutions such as password control, data access based on rule and profile, IP restriction for offset access, auditing capability of who has run what report, and security logging are the different elements that they put in place to secure their users. All right, let's have a view about those first steps in the tool of database. First of all, how we call activity monitoring. The most important component is one of that is concerning activity monitoring. It is called database activity monitoring DAM platform. This DAM capture all database activity up to administrative action, analyze query for behavior that may betray the inappropriate usage. This tool can detect and alert the wide range of threat. And attaching to this tool, as we say, we have also those tools like Wisha, Djousse that intervene in the network, but it can really help to monitor a system because most of the time the tool in database are complementary in the case of monitoring activities and really wash out the overall system. Now, this is the security processor where you come to understand the database security. We have the security policy, we have the access rule, we have the access controller, and those access controller is attached to request. For example, the request can be, you can have a authorized request, the rejected request, the modified request, and the security policy must be well defined in such a way that every access must be under a rule. Everyone would know exactly what is supposed to do inside the entire system. Okay, we have the authorization, prohibition, and obligation. Here are some flaws that can be exploited by an attack. The storing password in application configuration file. When you store password in application, the configuration file can be a flaw of attack. The database connection scripts accessible in the application source code. And we have also what we call SQL injection attacks. An attack exploiting buffer overflow. That's a different main attacks that vulnerability that can be found inside a system or database. And the type of user that is in the system, we have those type of user. We have administrator type, application type, and the user is natural person connecting directly to the database via a graphical user interface. And the security policy now, let us understand really why we talk about security policy because it's very important in every system, not only in database, even in every system. Security policy is very important. So, as we are talking about security policy, set of law and rule, we can define it like set of law and rule and practice that govern, how sensitive information and other resources are managed, protected, and distributed within the operating system or within the entire system. That's how we can define the security policy. Now, this is the presentation, so a architecture of a preventive pattern against attack. This is a model of preventive pattern against attack. This is really how we can secure our database in the architecture. We have here a database. This database may be some devices, maybe some hardware or some server. And those data inside those hardware must have data encryption. They must be encrypted such a way that if somebody even succeed to cross all the other possibility that we have here, will not be able to even use what it will steal. So data inside the devices, the final devices of saving, that is a database really must be encrypted. And we have the database management system now here that manage the data that's inside the database. So access control inference, it must be under audit regularly to check if everything is okay. And we have the communication encryption. So for the user or the application, that is also a form of user, to be able to use the database management system, the communication must be encrypted in the network, such the way that if somebody hijack this way, it will not be able to bring out the information that is trying to take also. And let them know also that all those users must be trained not to present their password anyhow. As we were talking about password registration, there are some rules to have a good password and never put the password like your birth date, your name, because it's very easy to be cracked out. All right, let's move forward now on the principal faults of safety. The principal faults of safety are open doors, installation by defect, bad policy of management of ride, bugs, and bad coding. Why we even said the other time. Right now, let's have some step how we can secure. The first step of security, we put it identification or authentication. In this case now, this is what will happen. Authentication go through a login plus a password. And the authentication element we can be what entity know password, what entity hold smart card, what entity like biometric. And we have now the access control. The access control now, these are permission assigned to a user, a group, or a role. It can relate to object of various granularity like table, view, store, procedure. And the security number 2 that we mistakenly bring the security number 3 before giving the security number 2 is a encryption communication. And in this place of encryption, it is the encrypted communication between the user and the commit strip. The approved technology is SSL and SS hash, secure service link, secure service host, and they ensure the confidentiality of message in the hash value, secure service hash, and the signature of the message is what we call no repudiation. Is even what to be used to secure the information. And the case of Oracle and most other database management system, if we really want to have the secure system, we must apply what we call the separation of responsibility. So the sysdba and the sysoper must have their responsibility. The DV owner must have his own, and the accountant manager, for example, must have also his own. Everybody must have his administrative right. For example, the administration technique of the sysdba system database administrator and system operator, they will be able to use this command of request, startup, shutdown, alter system, and ground resources. And the main user will have the right about those schema and the applicative administrator domain security. And the accountant, for example, can have the access, sorry, can have the access really to manage the different account that is inside the database, as we were explaining. So in Oracle database, you must be able to define clearly every right of every administrator and every right of every user, such a way that nobody will be able to access to data that is not supposed to. That is the main things here. And as we were talking about password in that other session, for securing our database, we must have also the possibility to change our default password. It's not good, because if we want to globally present the type of securing our database, the different type, some secret how we can move, we need first of all to know that we must change the default password. Before eating, Scott and Tiger wash their hand. Same thing when we have completed the installation of our database, it is necessary to systematically modify the default password So we must know it as a, a reflex. And the third day, the CRT site lists the default password for many devices and software. It's a website. And we must deny remote connection. To avoid the hack, we will also make sure that the database service is not exposed to a public IP address. By default, we need to make sure that it is listed on the lookback interface 127.0.0.1 or a system socket. If our administrator interface were PHP admin or SQL Enterprise Manager is installed, for example, is not the same server have the component communication through private IP address without NAT to outside the network. And we must delay unnecessary account to secure our database. As I'm saying, we must delete unnecessary account. We will then delay the access to data which seem useless to us. If it's rather simple, we delete all the access account configured after the installation, except the course that main administration account that make him root or data administrator. We must delete the simple database. According to the rule, everything that does not serve you must be deleted. We will do the same with database or data table delivered to the installation to serve as example. Be careful, not all engine come with this type of data. Let's be particularly attentive to the base or table call system. They contain, for example, the identifier of access account and associated right, a reading of the documentation of editor, Oracle, Microsoft, MySQL, and Postgre is a prerequisite before deciding in the heart. Once the cleaning steps are complete, we are in the position of a clean configuration that is sometimes work saving. The realization of software package is a plus non-negligible in the case of Debian package and LPM for Red Hat in the case of Linux. We must enable lock and out sources. The activation of lock file must be a reflex of the first hour. In case of service interruption, software or hardware incident, or intrusion, the activity log will help to better analyze the situation and take the necessary measure. Outsourcing file in real time using syslog, for example, is sometimes necessary to meet legal and regular requirements. Outsourced data be stored in read-only mode and achieve a non-readable media if needed. If your database server does not produce log file compatible with syslog, copy them at a regular interval to a remote server that will only allow the copy account to read and not read and delete. And another type is run the service with a service account. Database engines are typically designed to use only limited write on the operating system. The directory and listening port used as standard are indeed within a user context and not that the kernel. If you are victim of a buffer overflow attack, the code that can be executed will be limited write and the damage will be less important. And to restrict user privilege, as we said at other time, we must have a pragmatic approach to limit every user privilege, to restrict and be very disciplined in those privilege. In approach always pragmatic, we will make sure that the privilege provide to the user of database are in adequacy with the functional need. The account used to connect database and view data through a PHP script will not need any read or delay write. And we must encrypt the store data, as we were saying, those data inside our hard drive. The most recent engine offer a standard or via the additional module data encryption option. We do not mind the activate the option if our database consists of sensitive data. The encryption and decryption step can be performed by the data access layer. Those an attack of the type of SQL injection will give access only encrypted data to the attacker. As part of the PCI DSS certification, the good that can be encrypted are specifically defined. Obligation for credit card number during our retention phase. And the type is the hybrid solution to encrypt the data only during particular phase of reading. For example, storage of sensitive data of a user has a social security number. Do not forget to secure the encryption key being storing them without the database server. And we must apply the publisher patch. This seems obvious, but once the phase of installation, configuration, and receipt of over, many of us forget that our software is part of a sometime hectic life cycle. In addition of the security patch application to our operating system, we must ensure that patch and release for our database engine. No need where to hire a private detective. Each publisher, free or commercial, make available to the public a web page dedicated to new security software package. All right, this is the course that we are just through now. We're talking about database security, and I hope that in this session we present many things that can help you to secure your system and secure your database. During the next class, we will see more deep certain elements concerning security and security factors. We are saying thank you for you to watch this, and let's see next time. Thank you.